Hello again, it's Jason Godbey from No Rest for the Weekend alongside Eric McClanahan, and we just saw the Thunderbolts.
Asterisk.
So, first impressions.
I loved it. I had a great time with the film. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it had heart. I thought it had a lot more emotional character depth than some of the outings we've seen in the recent past, and I would recommend it.
I liked it. It wasn't.
You did that thing with your voice. I liked it. I liked it, maybe.
Okay,
Tell the truth.
I have mixed feelings about it, all right? So, it got weird at one point, and I will say that it was not what I expected. That's why I'm going to go with that. As my first impression was, I thought it was going to be sort of more standard superhero fare, where a ragtag bunch of, anti-heroes go up against the big bad and somehow win. But then, yeah, it got weird. Without spoiling it, because I'm going to try to do a non-spoiler review, tell people what you thought the plot was.
So, if you've seen the trailers, which hopefully you have, you're interested in the film already, you know that the titular Thunderbolts have been lured to a trap by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine to eliminate one another. They break out of that trap, join forces, and go to confront her, but at the same time, they are also confronted by a weapon she's created, which is the flying man you see in the sky, and hilarity and hijinks ensue.
So it's a lot of movie. I'm glad it wasn't 3 hours long. That, to me, like, some of these big extravaganzas are just, like, too much. So I did appreciate that it was tight. I was kind of shocked to see how much of it was in one location in the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
When you talk about that, there are a lot of unexpected things in this film. I think that's one of its strengths. I think the last couple of films that have come out from Marvel have been very by the numbers and very expected. Even the forgettable ones, like we expected what we got, so it didn't sear anything into memory. Like, I would give you $100 bill right now if you can tell me the villain of the movie The Marvels.
I got nothing.
Precisely.
I got nothing.
This movie has memorable characters and some emotional development. We grow along with them, and it actually feels like it does push the entire narrative forward, which some of the other films in recent memory have not done.
How much homework do you feel like you needed to have watching this movie? Like, because that's one of my concerns about the Marvel movies in general is that they do feel like they give you like a homework assignment, and you're like, well, am I caught up on the reading to see this?
That's a very fair question. I had seen everything prior that one needs to see prior to this. And if you're caught up with the Marvel Universe, you think you can go into this with no issues. But I will admit, I did feel a gap of knowledge in terms of how Ghost's power set works and how she began. I hadn't watched Ant-Man and the Wasp in a really long time. That film came out quite some time ago, and that was her first and only appearance prior to this. And when they were talking about when they were sharing their sob stories of their youths, she mentioned something about her childhood, and I'm like, did I know that? Did we know that? So I would suggest, if you would like a refresher, I think Black Widow is recent enough that we know enough about Yelena and Taskmaster and Red Guardian. Falcon and the Winter Soldier television series told us pretty much everything we need to know about John Walker. But I would suggest going back and seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp, because that's probably the furthest they pull back from. And I would suggest a refresher on that.
I tried to really go as unspoiled into this thing as possible, and I kept hearing people saying disjointed, or like it felt like it was put together in reshoots, and I didn't feel that at all.
No, it seemed very cohesive. Again, a couple of core locations which really allow the actors to explore their characters and allows the story to unfold organically. And then, there was your big third act action piece, but again, they kind of turned that on its head a little bit with, as you said, sort of an Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind kind of moment. So unconventional, but disjointed. I would not use that word for this now.
I got to say, though, Florence Pugh carries a lot of this movie on her shoulders.
Yeah, it is Yelena Belova's movie, most certainly. I mean, she's the first character we see when the film starts. Her emotional arc carries the whole film through. She's the clear standout amongst the Thunderbolts in terms of sincerity. You've got Red Guardian for heart and exuberance. But for sincerity and soul, yeah, definitely Florence Pugh is Yelena.
I like David Harbour a lot. I thought he's just having a ball in that part, man. He just really loves putting on the big red suit and the Russian accent, and he's just having all kinds of fun.
As the credits were rolling and we were waiting for more afterwards, I did find myself thinking, I'm like, this team is very lopsided because there are 3 super soldiers on the team. Like, it's a bit like it's a hat on a hat on a hat, you know?
Well, I mean, what else are you going to do, though? Like, everybody's gone. Like, we don't have the Hulk, we don't have Thor, we don't have a tech genius Iron Man. So it is a little samesies, and you're kind of wondering, like, okay, so we got Thunderbolts / well, I won't say, but the Thunderbolts asterisk versus, because we got a hint that Sam Wilson was going to put together an Avengers team from Captain America. So is it going to be like a versus kind of thing? And what characters are left?
Well, and that's what's funny, because, they do talk about the fact that, Captain America has the moniker Avengers and he has his team. So where do the Thunderbolts fit? But again, a Captain America. Like, now we've got 4 Captain Americas running around. It's becoming so homogenized. Like, now I'm kind of, I want to go back to space. I want, green and purple people.
It's not self-contained. You do have a little homework to do, and then there's some things beyond, which we won't spoil, that are hinted at, as far as things to come. But overall, I think it stands on its own as a movie. Like, I don't feel like it's just table setting, where I felt Captain America was maybe a little bit more table setting.
Yeah, Captain America Brave New World I thought was episodic and didn't really stand alone.
It felt like a Disney Plus show.
Yeah, it felt performative. But again, it did push the narrative forward a little bit. Such a little bit. This film, I think, is redemptive for Marvel.
Yeah, so I think, in terms of, did I like it better than Captain America? I thought it was a lot more interesting than Captain America. I thought of the 2, I would watch this one again.
Same. I think like the action combat in this is better. I think the stakes are higher, which is weird to say because the stakes in Captain America Brave New World were World War III. But I think because we care more about the characters, the stakes were higher.
Yeah. And I feel, like I said, man, I think Florence Pugh is doing a lot because, she's not just another Scarlett Johansson. She's not a copy. She's not Black Widow 2.0. So she does have her own backstory. Similar, obviously. But we get to see a little bit more of her. And there's just so much going on with her performance that, it's like you feel these touching moments in the middle of this superhero extravaganza. And I think David Harbour does a lot for that, too, because they have a history. I don't know how much people are going to care about Ghost, because we haven't seen her in years at this point. Are people going to care about John Walker? Are they going to care about, these other people? I do know that people love Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier.
And you get some bang for your Bucky.
Yeah.
Some Bucky for your buck.
Okay, so one of the highlights, I won't spoil it, but one of the highlights of the film is his entrance into the movie. Not his first entrance, but it's sort of the action entrance. Yeah. That is the most badass thing. Like, he owns it too, man. He's awesome. Like, you can, man, like the 13-year-old boy in me was squealing when I saw that. It was so cool.
I actually heard a set story that Wyatt Russell, like, channeled his 13-year-old boy. They were shooting one of the scenes, and when he crests over the hill, he goes, Bucky! And they had to stop rolling and be like, can you say that a little differently? Yeah, it's good.
You'd be a tad bit more manly super soldier, man. You're not just fanboy all over the place in the back of the truck. But yeah, I thought there was a lot of good humor in it too. It's that Marvel quippy humor. But
it didn't feel as forced this time. Like, I think some of the more recent films, the humor has felt like
they got a comedy writer in to come in.
Pretty much, yeah, like outsourced, and they're like, hey, like they got a script doctor who just
yeah, we need to amp this up.
Sprinkled jokes in there. And this one felt a lot more organic. This felt more like, Phase 2 Marvel. So yeah.
I also felt that the comedy came from the characters and wasn't just like everybody's got to be quippy. Because I felt like for instance, like Doctor Strange, to me, it felt that humor in that movie feels so forced because they're trying to make him a wise ass, but he's just not. And it feels weird every time he tries to crack a joke. In this, the jokes come from the situation and they come from the characters, and they seem more sincere.
Yeah, it does seem a lot more authentic. I know with Doctor Strange, he's a superior intellect, so he always thinks he's the smartest person in the room, so he's a bit smug. And when they make him a wise cracker, like he's not a wise ass, he just thinks he's smarter than everyone.
They tone that down with him in the later movies.
They do. Thank goodness.
I also think in this movie you get maybe just the right amount of people.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
It's interesting. I feel like Marvel, it's like, okay, so you ever loved a baseball team, but then they're in that rebuilding period, where they got to get maybe another shortstop or some new pitching?
Well, it's like an SNL cast. I'm not saying Marvel has not had some misfires, but this one, I think, they're really on the right track.
It feels like there's some course correcting happening, and also just like, okay, they needed to do something to get us on board with these characters. Like they need to like endear us to these people so that we care about them for the next however many years they're going to be on screen.
Yeah, I do think they underutilized John Walker and the Ghost character, and I'm curious what their plan is. And the Taskmaster character, I think, was underused as well. And I'm curious what their plan is, going forward. If we're going to continue to root for these people as heroes or anti-heroes, like, are we going to get sold on them, or do they think the sale's already done?
Yeah, I thought there's also some good supporting work. Like, Julie Louis-Dreyfus just owns this part. She's so good in it. Little bits here and there I thought everybody was well cast and did a good job. Like I didn't feel like that. There's always like that one person comes on screen, you're like, oh God, this guy again. But there wasn't any of that in this film.
I love Louis Pullman as Bob. I thought he was great. He was a great addition to the rankings. And he's a lot of fun. He's got a great screen presence.
I basically saw this one for work.
Right.
You were enthusiastically seeing it.
I was. I paid for a bus ticket here and that back. You paid for the movie ticket. I paid for the bus ticket here and back, and the popcorn.
Yeah. Well, like our friend Bill Hammond, we actually paid to see this.
Yes. And I'm comfortable with the purchase.
Okay. I feel like is it a see it, stream it, or skip it?
It's a see it. Go see it.
Okay. I would concur with that. If you've been hungry for a good Marvel movie, and you're like, and it doesn't have a lot of competition right now. Like in the month of May.
At the end of the month you have Mission Impossible 11.
Right.
But right now, it's probably, Sinners I think is still riding high.
Right. But in terms of like action movie extravaganza type stuff.
This is the one.
All right.
This is the one to see.
All right, so this is a see it from us. And that's all for this review. Thanks for joining us once again. And thanks to Eric McClanahan for joining me for the film. Now, you can catch this and more of our content on NoRestOfTheWeekendPodcast.com and our YouTube channel. That's where you'll see these videos first. YouTube.com/GetBehindTheRabbit. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Is that remotely good?
That's good.
All right.
This is the BTRP Media Network.